welcome to Assen. We're super thrilled to be here, and especially because we've got fans. We can see Audi here, who's already welcoming the fans. And yeah, we're excited that finally we've got fantastic atmosphere with all the fans. Yeah, absolutely excited. We can see them clapping, and as you can see, they're excited to be back as well. And yeah, so now we're excited for a super race. Let's see what it brings. So here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, great to have some spectators back here, even though it's in smaller numbers than we've been used to in the past, but it's a step in the right direction. And the drivers will love the atmosphere here at Assen for the fourth weekend of the 2020 DTM season. My name's Chris Hartley, and I'm going to talk you through today's race and the rest of the weekend's action. The 7th round of the championship coming up, and with Loic Duval claiming his first pole position of the season and his second career pole. Robin Freins is the home favourite that's going to be starting alongside him. But before we get into the setup for the race, we can hear now from the ITR chairman, Gerhard Berger.
And I'm here with the DTM boss, Gerhard Berger. It's been a tough season so far, but it's been an exciting season, and now we're so thrilled because we've actually got fans here. What does that mean for the DTM?
Well, I think it's great to be here, first time together with fans again. It's sad for all the sport not to see the fans on the circuit, and we are missing the atmosphere, we are missing fans supporting the stars. But here we can do it in a small version, and I think this is step one. We're hopefully gonna increase this step by step every race, and hopefully soon we're gonna see again stadiums as we are used in normal times. Unfortunately, Corona will be a while with us, and we have to deal with it. But you could see today already that even a small number of fans can make a good atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely, and we're so excited about it. Thank you very much, Gerhard Berger, and now we're of course looking forward to a very exciting race.
It could indeed be a very exciting race, because the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that track is no longer dry like it was in qualifying this morning, because just about 5 minutes after qualifying ended, there was some light rain here, and then there was some very heavy rain for about an hour or so. It stopped raining around about 20 or 25 minutes ago, and the track, which was newly resurfaced in February, is drying quickly, but offline, there is still a lot of surface water here. So we have seen a lot of drivers walking back to the final chicane, examining the circuit, and having to make a decision now as to whether they're going to start on wet tyres, but possibly have to come in and change to slicks quickly, or they'll take a gamble and start on slick tyres, which is going to be a little bit hairy scary for the first few laps of the race. And then what will happen with the tyre degradation, because this circuit has been very heavy on tyres, as we've seen from the free practice and qualifying sessions. Well, great to have fans back in the grandstands, and one of the drivers that they're certainly going to be cheering on for this weekend is the home favourite, Robin Freins, who starts the race from the front row of the grid.
So one man who has the support of the fans definitely is Robin Freins, our local hero. And for a change though, you're not starting in pole position, you're starting in P2. But who knows what that means, because we're still waiting for your win this season. Maybe today's going to be the day, but at the moment it's all a bit a gamble with the tires, with the weather. What's your thought?
Yes, it's a big gamble at the moment, because after qualifying it was quite some heavy rain, and it stopped raining. It shouldn't rain anymore the rest of the day, but yeah, now we're standing here on a wet track discussing what to do. So I think everybody is in the same window, in the same piece of asphalt, which is wet, so it's going to be tricky.
But you did mention that your car has the pace, so hopefully we're going to see a good race for you.
Yeah, I mean, the race pace in Lausitzring, the last one was not too bad. Here the asphalt is very hard on the tires. It should be the same for the rain tires basically, so we need to survive the first couple of laps if we start on wets, and then we see what happens.
All right, thank you so much. Best of luck for the race, and we're so excited for the race to begin in just a bit. Back to the commentator.
Thanks, Verena. So Robin Frijns there, who just missed out on what would have been his 5th pole position of the season by 34 thousandths of a second. He's had 4 poles this year, and he hasn't yet converted one of them into a race win. He's still looking for his first win of the season. He's still looking for his first win in the DTM, but surely that is just around the corner. And as I say, very tight between him and Loic Duval in this morning's qualifying session. The championship leader is Nico Muller, and he's going to be lining up just behind them, and he seems to have had good long-run pace in the free practice sessions that we've seen here on the build-up to the qualifying session and this first race of the weekend. But the driver that snatched pole position in the second half of the qualifying session this morning was Loic Duval, and he's now speaking with Verena.
And I'm here with a man who's starting in pole position, Loic Duval. It was a fantastic qualifying. You're starting at pole, but it's a whole different story for the race. It's different conditions. It's a very demanding track. So what are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, we expect that it will rise up. I mean, basically, we believe that we will end up the race with slick tires. The question is which tires we're going to start with. It looks more wet than dry for the moment, but there is still a bit of time. And then it's also how many pit stops. I mean, we saw yesterday that it was a big degradation, you know. And for sure, if you can do only 5, 6 or 7 laps with the wet tires at the beginning, you might not be able to last until the end of the race with only one set of 6 tires. So a lot of question mark, but everybody is in the same boat, and now we have to try to get the best out of it.
And a question, we've got music here, we've got fans here, finally. Is it a little bit like back then? I mean, is the feeling good?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's great for sure. I mean, last year you could see the grandstand was quite packed here. I mean, we had a lot of people, so there is less this year, but at the end it's a good step forward, you know. I mean, that's what we are here for, you know. There is the TV, but it's also the atmosphere, you know, on the track and in the arena and stuff like that. So it's great to have them here. Hopefully they're going to see a good race, and thanks to them for cheering for us.
All right, thank you so much. Best of luck for the race, Loic, and back to you.
Good to hear from our pole sitter then, and I think they are in for a very good race. Whenever you get wet stroke dry conditions and a changeable track, it tends to lead to some very exciting racing and also some varying strategies. And I guess if you're at the front of the grid and you're in the championship fight, if you're a Nico Muller, a René Rast, a Robin Frijns, a Loic Duval even, you're going to be looking at what your key competitors are doing. If you're a bit further back down the grid, maybe it's worth trying something different and taking a gamble. Last time out at the Lausitzring, we saw the first victory of the season for BMW, with Lucas Auer there on screen taking that victory. Timo Glock in second place. Steps forward have been made for BMW, but they're still a little bit behind here in qualifying. We can hear now from the 2-time champion, Marco Wittmann.
And I'm here with Marco Wittmann, who's starting in P10 in the 5th row. Last year you won here, so hopefully you can really make up some positions. What's your feeling for the race?
Yeah, I hope that we have a similar good race pace as last year. I mean, actually we are starting on similar conditions. Last year the first race was also wet. Now it seems to be wet, probably not as much as last year. So it will be a challenging race actually, because we expect that at a certain point we're going to change to slicks, and then it's all about the tire deck in the second stint. So it will be quite interesting, but as I said, I hope that I can have a similar result as last year.
We're crossing our fingers, but overall, I mean, BMW seems to be struggling a little bit. How is the pace and how is it getting along?
I mean, this trend we saw all season long so far, you know, especially in quali, that we are lacking pace to the Audis, and they are always in front with 4, 5, now even 6 cars, which is on one point, of course, a bit frustrating if you cannot do more in quali. Our hope is a bit on the race now, really to challenge them slightly better than in quali. And as I said, let's see. I mean, here it's all about the tires in the race. So this will be quite a tricky part. And yeah, the hope is that we can gain there some places.
All right, best of luck. Thank you so much, Marco. Back to you.
Yeah, some work to do for Marco Wittmann from 10th on the grid, but last year in very wet conditions he won the first race here at Assen, the first time the DTM visited the circuit, and in race 2, after a problem with his turbocharger in the second qualifying session of the weekend. He had to start at the very back of the grid, and he came through with an early pit stop strategy back when there were no pit windows. He pitted at the end of lap 1, came through, benefited from the safety car, and finished in second place. He had actually a very good race weekend here last year. Nico Muller did too. He was on the podium on both occasions here 12 months ago at Assen, and it was extremely tight in that qualifying session this morning. 34 thousandths of a second between the top two. That is not even the closest gap that we've had so far. 18 thousandths of a second was the difference between the top two in qualifying in the previous weekend at the Lausitz Ring. It's looking like it's going to be very interesting indeed. So we're here at Assen in the northeast of the Netherlands. Second visit of the DTM to this area and to this circuit. And the circuit itself known as the Cathedral of motorcycle racing. But cycling and road cycling is a big part of this particular region of the Netherlands. It is known for its various cycle events and endurance cycling events. Also the central of the town of Assen, known for its ballroom dancing. A big contest held once a year, but it's the circuit that makes the town. This, the Cathedral of motorcycle racing, has hosted every round of the World Motorcycle Championship since its inception back in 1949. Also hosted World Superbikes, and of course now these days hosting the DTM. So the qualifying lap record from last year was absolutely obliterated by around about a second and a half this morning in dry, warm conditions. The same conditions we've got now, except, as you can see, we have got damp circuits and offline still a wet circuit. But the longer they're on the grid, the more the sun comes out, the quicker it begins to dry. As I say, a surface which was relayed in February and used a couple of times before lockdown for some motorcycle races. It provides huge speed, lots of grip, but it also eats up the tyres. So this is how they're going to line up for today's race. Loic de Waal and Robin Freins almost inseparable in the qualifying session. On row 2, Nico Muller and Ferdinand Habsburger's joint best qualifying result. Mike Rockenfeller, who won the other race here last year, is 5th. René Rast starts in 6th place, the reigning champion. Last time out, Lucas Auer was a winner. He starts this one 7th from Philip Heng in 8th place. Jonathan Aberdeen is 9th. Marco Wittmann, as we heard from earlier, starting this race from 10th. Sheldon van der Linde, who's been a good qualifier this year, but he's 11th for this one with Jamie Green. Work to do from the 6th row of the grid. Harrison Ewing and Timo Glock could be ones to watch coming through from the penultimate row of the grids. And Robert Kubica and Fabio Scherer, 2 of the new drivers for this season, make up the final row of the grid. So what are you going to do with your tyres? Are you going to take a gamble? No more rain predicted, but if you want to overtake, you've got to go off the racing line, and if you try and do that with slick tyres, it's going to be tricky. If you start with wet tyres, you might be very, very quick for a few laps, but that circuit, as you can see, is drying very rapidly. Had we started the race 15 or 20 minutes ago, I think there would have been a lot more drivers opting for a wet tyre, but so far, from the pictures we've seen, I've seen only slick tyres on cars, certainly on Loic de Waal's car. Slick Hankooks on for the pole sitter. And Loic looking for his first victory. He's been on the podium already this season in the first race at Spa with a 3rd place finish. Track temperature 21 degrees. That's half what it was at Spa at the start of the season. And the air temperature warmer than it was for qualifying. It was around 12 or 13 degrees when we had qualifying a couple of hours ago, but it's now pushing up to around about 16 degrees. And as you can see from that picture, much more in the way of blue skies up above the drivers and the crowd. There was a lovely moment which was caught on camera just before we came on air with one of the very young fans who'd got his René Rast regalia on, including a René Rast t-shirt, was waving at his hero. René caught his eye, went over from the grid up to the catch fencing, had a conversation with this young lad who can't have been more than 5 or 6 years of age, I don't think, and then managed to throw his own race cap over the fence so that his young fan could have it. And the look of joy on that little lad's face was absolutely fantastic. So a great moment there, and just a reminder really of how good the DTM drivers are, the whole DTM setup is when it comes to the rapport that they have with the fans, which of course we've all been starved of so far in 2020. This place is absolutely huge in terms of the capacity. You can have 110,000 spectators here when it's full, and included in that are 60,000 seats in the various grandstands that we have. Just the main grandstands along the start-finish line and turn 1 open to the fans, who are spacing themselves out with a limited capacity of spectators who've come in with pre-booked tickets. As Gerhard Berger says, hopefully it's the first step in a return to some form of normality. It's going to take a while, we all know that, but at least it is looking a little bit more positive. And, well, we've had some great racing already this year, but I think this could be an absolute cracker. Try and spot if anybody might have gone for a wet tyre, as we see them now heading off onto the green flag lap here. It's going to be, as ever, a 55-minute plus 1 lap race. And, oh dear, at the back of the grid, or near the back of the grid, Jamie Green, not yet underway. Engineer having a conversation with the British driver, and that's an ominous signal. Car won't start up. Jamie's not had a fantastic weekend here so far in either the practice sessions or the qualifying session. Somebody that started the year so well. Looks like he was going to have a real challenge to get through the order here, but just to get into the race is going to be the key thing for Jamie. He's got so close to being the champion on many occasions. Still up there in 5th place in the championships. Just had the one result this year in which he didn't finish in the points. That was not down to Jamie. That was a problem with the car, which caused him to retire from the second race of the Lausitzring Sprint venue. What a busy schedule now awaits the drivers, but moreover the teams, because we're here at Assen for this 4th race weekend of the season. Next weekend it's the Nürburgring, and the weekend after that it's the Nürburgring again. 3 on the bounce, and lots and lots of work to do in terms of preparing the cars. Hopefully not having to repair the cars in between each of the race weekends for the teams who've already been flat out for a couple of months since the season started, and it's going to get busier and busier in the second half of the season. There's a double header coming up towards the end of the season at Zolder as well, another back-to-back set of weekends. It's Dieter Gas, the head of Audi Motorsport, to the left of the picture. One of his cars, I'm afraid, doesn't look like it's going to start from the grid, but he's got the Audis at the front again. He hasn't had a BMW on pole position for a while. It's the 14th consecutive time that an Audi has started a DTM race on pole position. You have to go back to Brands Hatch last summer to find the last time a BMW was on pole. It was Marco Wittmann who was a race winner that weekend. There you can see then, coming out of the final chicane on what is a 4.5 kilometre long circuit here at Assen, the drying lines.
3, 2, 1, bit more, and stop. Perfect. So ALS on, ALS on.
So drivers just been guided into their grid positions.
They still need to get Jamie out of the grid.
Hugely frustrating this for Jamie Green, because he's seen it all before in terms of the highs and lows of motorsports. I remember catching up with him after the second race at the Lausitzring. Said bad luck to him after his retirement. He sort of shrugged his shoulders and smiled. He said, well, that is motorsport. It happens, unfortunately. Nothing I could do about it. But he's had some stonking performances already this year, including a great drive through the fields at the first event of the season at Spa. So Jamie's car is trying to squeeze through the grid, send the cars off onto another formation lap. Well, that is done, and the longer that goes on, the more the track dries. And you'd look at that now, certainly in the start-finish straight, and you'd say, yeah, I think definitely we're looking at dry tyres for that one. So frustration for Team Rosberg. It's not been a great day so far for their other driver, the defending teams champions and drivers champions, René Rast, who's had his second worst qualifying session of the year, to be 6th on the grid for this one. Has been just a little bit behind his key rivals, Nico Müller and Robin Freins, coming into this, both in terms of his single lap pace and his longer run pace as well. Right, so that is going to affect the overall race distance. Cut 3 minutes off, so it's going to be a 52-minute plus 1 lap race now. 52 minutes plus 1 lap, rather than the usual 55 plus 1. So, in terms of the championship, we come into this 7th race of the season with Nico Müller at the top of the leaderboard. He picked up another point for qualifying in 3rd place. Top 3 score points, 3, 2 and 1 respectively for qualifying. So Nico Müller moves on to 134 points. A 37-point lead over René Rast, who's on 97. Robin Freins picked up a couple of points for qualifying on the front row, so he's moved on to 94 points, 3rd in the championship. Timo Glock, the best of the BMWs in the points table, is 4th, but quite a way back on 52 points, 82 points behind the championship leader. Jamie Green's 5th in the championship on 47, but looks like he's going to have to start this one if they can get the car started from the pit lane. It's definitely a dry track now, isn't it? So I don't think anybody would look at taking the gamble for wet tyres, because you're going to be having to come straight in. They're going to get too hot, they're going to not work at all. And as I say, if it started a little while ago, 20 minutes ago,
on your ALS,
case, but not now.
And come slowly into your position. Slowly. And it's 3, 2, 1, and stop. Perfect.
So Loic Duval once again guided into his good position by his race engineer Philip Luth. Team Phoenix with a good qualifying session with Mike Rockenfeller up there in the top 6 on the grid as well. Off the line you can still see it is damp, so that could be treacherous. There are some high-speed turns here as well as some slower, twistier sections. The first sector is pretty tight and twisty, but at the back, when you're coming towards that final chicane, the 6th gear left-hander at Ramhoek, taken at 265 kilometers an hour, you want to get there knowing there's grip, and you want to be on the dry racing line there, that is for sure. Okay, we are all set to go for round 7 of the 2020 DTM. Red lights go off, we go racing. Loic Duval with a decent start, but watch for Robin Freins. He looks like he's going to come under pressure in that battle for 2nd. Ferdinand Habsburg's had a terrific start, and the Austrian is going to go to 2nd place. Müller's trying to come around the outside of Freins. There's a little bit of contact. He goes out wide, he loses 1, maybe 2 more positions. Rockenfeller has got past him. Rast is trying to get up the inside of him now as they go through turn 3 and up towards the left-hander at the hairpin at Strubben. It's still side by side, trying to go around the outside in the red and white. Number 33 car is René Rast. He's got his nose in front now as they go onto this long half-kilometre straight, 560 metres. He's got alongside Rockenfeller with a better run, a better traction onto the straight, and René Rast is going to get through into 4th place. Rockenfeller closes the door for 5th as they go into turn 6 and 7 through the first of the chicanes. And Nico Müller, although he had a good start off the line, the fact that he tried to go around the outside of Robin Freins has ended up costing him dear. So it is the pole sitter, Loic Duval, that leads the way. Ferdinand Habsburg in 2nd place. Robin Freins, our own favourite, up next. There's Mike Rockenfeller slipping back behind the championship leader now, and closing the door just in time to prevent Philip Eng of the BMW from coming through. Eng has looked good on long run pace. I wouldn't rule him out of being up there fighting for some very good points at the end of this race, because he's been matching some of the quicker Audis. Jonathan Aberdeen going a little bit way out wide there in the blue and white Audi as Lucas Auer, with sparks trailing from the front right of the car, goes ahead of him. Lucas Auer, 5-time DTM winner now after winning the last race at the Lausitz Ring. So Duval leads at the end of lap 1, Habsburg in 2nd, Freins in 3rd place, dropping backwards. Terrific start from Ferdinand Habsburg. Could he get his first podium in the DTM here? He's certainly looking the part so far here this weekend. Making their way through the 2nd gear, 120 kilometers an hour corner at Ossenbrocken and into this 1st gear corner. The Strubben hairpin, you've got to get a good exit here as Robin Freins tries to get alongside Ferdinand Habsburg in the battle for 2nd place. Then you're on the gas for a long time. He's eyeing up the inside line and he gets alongside Habsburg. And Robin Freins should be through. He's just got to be careful of those damp patches. Make sure you slow the car down in time, but he's done it. And up to 2nd place now for Robin Freins. Habsburg in 3rd, Rast just behind him, 4th place, Müller in 5th, Rockenfeller 6th still. Rest of the BMWs, he's Eng in 7th, Auer is 8th, Aberdeen is 9th, and Marco Wittmann hasn't made any ground up at the start of this race. Double champion still running in 10th place. There's a pit window introduced, or reintroduced into DTM racing this year. So it's only once the leader passes the safety car line on lap 5 that the pit window opens. You can't come in the first 4 laps of the race anymore like you could last year, like Marco Wittmann did. Let's charge up from 18th to 2nd in race 2. 37 laps in race 2 last year, the dry race. expecting something around about that on a 55-minute race, but 3 laps have been taken off, so it could be 35 laps maybe. Depends on the pace. On long-run pace, in dry conditions, in free practice, the cars were going some 4 to 4.5 seconds a lap slower than they could go on a single hot lap. Which is why there's a distinct possibility that some could opt for a 2-stop strategy here. Push hard, go quick, your tyres go off fast, but the amount of time you can gain could buy you a free pit stop. René Rast had to pit for a second time in the race last year in dry conditions. His tyres really did go off. He then charged his way back through the order into the top 5 in the closing laps of the race. So don't be surprised if there are some fairly early stops here. That said, the fact that it's rained and the track temperature's gone down a bit and the track has been cleared might buy them a couple more laps in terms of the lifetime of the cars. With green wipers on there for number 25 BMW of Philip Eng, because it's raining just because of the spray that's being flicked up by some of the puddles of standing water that are still off the racing line, and also the mud that now flicks up if any drivers run wide and out onto the grass. Loic Duval's got nearly a 1.5 second lead now over Robin Freins, who, having got past Ferdinand Habsburg, has left him behind. Habsburg, though, doesn't look under too much pressure just yet from double and reigning champion René Rast. Behind René Rast with the low splitter cam going through that final chicane is the championship leader. You're riding with him now, Nico Müller. Still no sign of Jamie Green getting in this race, I'm afraid. He's got the helmet on still, so he's hoping to get involved in some point. Away from Jamie, it's a real shame though that we're not going to get to see the best of Jamie in this race. It's at best going to be a test session for him now in the season, which has, well, the last couple of weeks at least, been a little bit frustrating for him, to say the least. The 15 cars remain on track. Loic Duval's gaps come down just a little bit. 1.3 seconds is now his advantage over Robin Freins, who's led many a race this year but hasn't quite got the victory. But surely he's around the corner. He's been a race winner in everything else he's done. A glittering single-seater career. Looks like Formula Renault, where he's double champion, and also in GT racing. So Robin Freins closing the gap a little bit at times. He's got back out to the 10th though through that last sector. Even off the racing line now, there are not too many damp patches. Replay of the start. Watch for Habsburg in the 62 Audi to the left of your picture. Got off the line well. Müller did as well in the green and white number 51 Audi, but he couldn't find a way through. Then he was committed to the outside, and then he was sort of stuck on the outside line. Rocky came through, and then he had that duel with René Rast for a few corners as well. And that was the view back to Ferdinand Habsburg's rocket start from Robin Freins' rear view camera. This is Robin's forward-facing camera as he lost the position into turn 1. Incidents under investigation between Fabio Scherer and Sheldon van der Linde. No news of a penalty yet, but that's just come up onto the screen. So Fabio Scherer started at the back of the grid. His time was taken away in qualifying, but he would have started 16th anyway. Gaps ebbing and flowing. Sometimes it's 1.3 seconds, sometimes it's 1.4. But Loic Duval on a pretty good lap here so far. Those two just stretching away now from Ferdinand Habsburg. Oh dear, we've had a spin, I'm afraid, for Marco Wittmann. Whether that was self-inflicted or he's got tangled up with somebody else. We'll maybe find out if we get a replay, but Marco Wittmann's race not going well. Warning for Fabio Scherer for forcing another car off the track. Here we go. We'll find out what happens into the hairpin. Oh dear, dear, dear. It wasn't his own fault at all, was it? Marco Wittmann getting tagged from behind, and he was completely innocent in all of that. It was Fabio Scherer who went up the inside of Timo Glock, and he tried to pass Timo, just caught the back end of Wittmann's BMW. So this might now affect his strategy, whatever he thought about doing with the team. Given the position he's now in, he might try something completely different. It's worth a go, isn't it? From 15th place, the last of the remaining runners. Gap's grown 1.475 seconds, but it's very marginal. Last lap times for the leaders, 1:27.4s. Bearing in mind they can go 4 seconds quicker than that in qualifying trim. So they are looking at, as much as they can, a target time to make the tyres last to meet their strategy and when they're planning on coming into the pits. On board with René Rast now is inching up towards the tail of Ferdinand Habsburg. He's got the run, he's got the DRS deploying the rear wing, and he's gone through. So that's put Rast into the top 3. No trouble getting the car slowed down in time for the next sequence of corners, and already starting to edge away now as he makes his way through turn number 8. Nico Müller getting closer to the pair of them as well. On the way through the left-hander and then into the sweeping right at Dukerslut in 3rd gear, accelerating up towards the very quick final sector, and this 6th gear left-hand kick that comes up at Ramhoek. Drive-through penalty now for Fabio Scherer for causing a collision. That was the collision that resulted in Marco Witt then being spun around, so Scherer's going to have to come and serve that pit stop penalty. Plus, he'll still have to make his mandatory stop. He can't count that as a mandatory stop. He'll get one mandatory stop in the race. You can stop more times than that if you wish to. 1.383 seconds. Gap's down a tiny bit. Robin Freins certainly sticking with the race leader, but not able to put him under too much pressure yet. But also thinking perhaps of the long game, making the tyres last. Something that Loïc Duval had a bit of trouble with in the first free practice session yesterday when they were doing longer 18, 19, 20 lap runs. It was Loïc who did less runs than some of the others because he was very much concerned about the state of his tyres. Some of the tyres have been coming in looking pretty blistered after those long runs. Right, Ferdinand Habsburg has got company in the shape of Nico Müller, the championship leader now. Already a 3-time race winner this year. Müller, who's had very good long run pace, hasn't necessarily had the out-and-out fastest laps, but has been able to maintain a good pace for a little bit longer than certainly Robin Freins and René Rast did in the free practice sessions. And if they can translate that into the same sort of thing in the race, watch out for him as we get into the second half of the race. After the stops, we'll be able to go longer in the race, maybe on the tyres. He's certainly been able to manage his tyres well in the races so far this season. Still can't find a way past Habsburg, but he's showing his nose more and more. Eager to get through if he possibly can. Shows his nose again. Ferdinand Habsburg sees his green and white flash in the mirrors as he makes his way through the final sequence of corners at 16, 17 and 18, the chicane. 150 kilometres an hour and 3rd gear now for the right-hander at Harbocht. Short link straight into the kinks, 5th gear through Madijk, back up to over 200 kilometres an hour and slowed down for the 2nd gear right-hander at Osnabrücken. Still having to show his nose here. He's itching to get past, and he slingshots through now on the way to the left-hand hairpin and makes the move. So at Strubben, at the hairpin, through goes Nico Müller, and that now puts him ahead of Ferdinand Habsburg and in sight of one of his big championship rivals, René Rast. So Duval leads, Freins is 2nd, Rast is 3rd, Müller up to 4th with that move, Habsburg down to 5th. Still looking for his best results in DTM so far though. Here's a replay of the move that René Rast pulled off on Ferdinand Habsburg a few laps ago. And it was harder work, he'd say, for Nico Müller to come through. It was a bit of a lunge in the end because he'd been trying for a couple of laps to find a way through, but he did ultimately get through, much to the delight of his team. Thomas Spearmeyer, the team boss of Abt Sportsline, lead the team standings with Robin Freins and Nico Müller as their 2 drivers, clenching his fist on the pit wall, enjoying that move. It was a gutsy move, that, from Müller, and in fairness, Habsburg gave him the room. And it looks like he's beginning to hunt down René Rast already. Yes, a 127.7 for Müller, a 127.9 for René Rast. So that gap, even with the overtake, down by 0.2 of a second. You can see to the eye, he looks to be absolutely flying at the moment relative to the others. Does the championship leader. So Loïc Duval continues to lead, continues to keep a very similar gap back to Robin Freins. As low as it's been since the first lap of the race, but it's still only just under 1.3 seconds. There's a few hundredths of a second between them on the last lap. 127.565 for Duval and 127.625 for Robin Freins, the driver you're looking at there in 2nd place. They're 3 or 4 tenths of a second a lap quicker than the next pairing of Rast and Müller as it stands. Nobody's yet come in to make a pit stop in this race. Last year in the dry race, Wittmann, who charged his way up through into the top 6 from the back of the field, pitted on lap 13. Rocky won the race, pitted on lap 15. So they follow a similar strategy. It might be about that. As I say, René Rast was one of the drivers that had to come in twice for a second stop and a second set of new Hankook slick tyres. I've learned something from that, although, as I say, the resurfacing of the circuit that took place at the start of the year, things change again. Staring into the eyes of the two-time champion, René Rast, in the 33 Audi. He's been hunted down by Nico Muller. Those two have had plenty of battles over the last couple of seasons. There's a bit of a train of BMWs formed up behind Philippe Eng, 7th, Lucas Auer 8th, Jonathan Aberdine's in the points in 9th, Timo Glock is the last of the point scorers, you've wiped it now, in 10th place. Sheldon van der Linde still got the record this year for being the best BMW qualifier. 4th place, his best qualifying and BMW's best qualifying of the season so far at Spa. As Marco Wittmann said, it's in qualifying where they are needing to play catch-up to Audi. In the races, generally, they've been much closer. But at the moment, Audi dominant taking the first 6 places in this race. And 16 seconds back now is Philippe Eng already on the race leader. He's in 7th place. Right, René Rast on the previous lap, 127.5, 127.4 for Muller. He gained another 10th on that previous lap. Habsburg's actually lapping very similar time to them as well, 127.5, and he's pulling away from Mike Rockenfeller in 6th. He did a 128.1. And you can see the comparative speeds of the two championship front runners. Muller the points leader, Rast in 2nd. Rast really could do with keeping the Swiss behind him though. Who just a week or so ago became a father for the first time. His girlfriend Victoria giving birth to Finn, their baby boy. He'd love to get his first win for his newborn son, if he can, here at Assen this weekend. This is the battle between Habsburg and Rockenfeller. That had been opening up, but it's looking like Rockenfeller's having a good lap here and is hunting down the Austrian driver. 129.6 for both of them last time around. On this lap, I'd say Rockenfeller has closed the gap somewhat. Close enough to deploy DRS. This long 560-metre long straight, he's got the inside line. There's less and less surface water to worry about in the braking zone. Still 1 or 2 splashes kicked up, but Rocky is through, and that puts him into 5th place now. So Ferdinand Habsburg back to 6th, and it started so well. Qualified 4th, he got himself up to 2nd. He's gone back a couple of places now from his starting grid position down to 6th. Replay of the move. Straightforward stuff it looks like, but at those speeds, believe you me, it is not. Precision overtaking from the 2013 champion Mike Rockenfeller and everybody, the team at Team Phoenix, a twinkle in their eye, applauding that move. Rocky, what can he do? Now, remember, he won here. He's got a good record in Holland, actually, Mike Rockenfeller. He won here last year. That was his first win since 2017. And the previous win had come also in Holland at the Zandvoort circuit. So can he make it 3 weekends on the trot where he's been to a Dutch racetrack and won a race? Certainly looking good here, got good pace. He's had a decent start to the season, Rockenfeller. Still looking for his first podium of the year, but he's had 4 top 6 finishes, best of 4th in the first race of the week, the season at Spa. René Rast has just given himself a bit more breathing space now over Nico Muller. That was because it was 2 tenths, actually nearly 3 tenths quicker on the previous lap. A 128.6 versus, sorry, 128.4 versus 128.6. Quite a big gap back down to Mike Rockenfeller, who's absolutely left Ferdinand Habsburg behind. He's only just overtaken him. Philippe Eng continues to lead this train of BMWs, but for how long? Because here comes Jonathan Aberdeen, straight through, using DRS, good on the brakes. Points the nose of the BMW through into turn 6 and 7. And that's a good move from Jonathan. South Africa now moves himself up to 7th and was the leading BMW driver. He got his best result with a 7th place finish at the Lausitzring in the previous race. So driver is getting better and better as the season goes on. Jonathan Aberdeen. Timo Glock is in this train of BMWs as well, which are fighting over, at the moment, 7th place in the race. Race leader going through, Luc de Waal, and 128.9, 2 tenths quicker than Robin Fries with a 129.1. 12 laps complete. Thinking about possibly pit stops coming soon, as that might have just elongated this first stint a little bit. The fact that we had that rain cleaning and cooling the track earlier on. Sheldon van der Linde keeping an eye on the mirrors with Harrison Newey, another of the rookie drivers in DTM this year, the British driver closing right down to him. And almost, but not quite there at the end of the straight on the way into turn 1. Back on board with the 4th place car of Nico Muller. Was much closer to the tail of René Rast 3 laps ago. Started to fall away from him a little bit in this last few circuits. Only by 1/10 of a second per lap, but enough to take the pressure off René Rast for the time being at least. Just over 33 minutes plus 1 lap remaining on the clock, and a slightly shortened race due to the extra formation lap. Still no sign of Jamie Green coming out onto the circuit. Incidentally, Fabio Scherer a few laps ago now almost immediately served his drive-through penalty, which is why he's a long way back on the pack. And could do with the safety car at some point to get himself back in touch here. Marco Wittmann in 14th place. He's 8 seconds behind Robert Kubica, who's in 13th position. Robert's looking for his first points in DTM. Ran in the points in the previous race. Ran 6th of the championship at Lausitzring in the early stages, but fell back ultimately. But there are signs that Robert is getting there. René Rast, you're watching Loic Duval now, the race leader. World Endurance Champion for Audi, and also winner of the Le Mans, the great race, the Le Mans 24 Hours back in 2013. Audi Sports Team Just. He was runner-up in the WEC a few years after that, in 2016 as well, the year before he came into the DTM. Best year in the DTM was last year, finishing in 7th place, with the 3rd place finish at Lozano. That was the last time Loic was on pole position when he was at Lozano in 2018. He was on pole for this one, and he's leading the way and looking very strong at this phase. Let's ride then with René Rast. You can see the speed on the graphic there in the bottom right corner of your picture, well in excess of 220 kilometres an hour. This is Jamie Green hoping to join the race after the car wouldn't start on the grid. Yet, but close to it. It's obviously going to be a test session now, being 14 laps behind the rest of the field, just gaining data really. Well, you never know. There are a few retirements here and there. Might just nick a point. He's got to make sure he's close enough in terms of the race distance he does to the number of laps the race leader completes to make sure he's actually classified in the results. Either way, it's worth going out. It's looking much darker, isn't it, on the pictures there? So definitely 1 or 2 dark clouds seem to be drifting across the main grandstand over the start-finish straight. No more rain was predicted, but it is definitely looking a bit more overcast than it was 5 or 10 minutes ago. See big white fluffy clouds, but they're just at the top right of the corner of the screen. There was definitely some rain clouds up there as a string of mainly BMWs makes its way into the pits for the first stop,
around and the same amount of DRS lap of the Audi around you. 21 laps to go.
Eng, Glock, hour in. Eng's going to get out first.
Copy.
And Harrison Newey has also made a pit stop in his Audi. So Eng, the first of the pit stoppers. Jonathan Aberdeen, who led that train of BMWs, still on track, still running in at 7th place. So Aberdeen is how far clear? Aberdeen is nearly 3 seconds clear of Sheldon van der Linde, his compatriot. There is Nico Muller running in 4th place. He's just under a second behind René Rast as they come out of final chicane at Geert Timmerbocht, a 2nd gear chicane, hard on the gas, accelerating over the start-finish line towards the 3rd gear. Turn 1, right-hander at Harbocht. Whoa, getting it a little bit wide and leery there is René Rast in 3rd place. All over the curbs with the back end of the car. You've got to be a little bit careful because still, as I say, off the line and off the circuit, certainly there'll be some damp patches. You certainly wouldn't want to go on the grass because it was very, very heavy rain in the period between the qualifying session and the race. The grass is going to be very wet indeed. Jonathan Aberdeen has now come into the pits. His name flashes up on the screen. So his race at the moment seems to be with Philippe Eng. Jonathan they'll get the tyres changed on his car in something around 6 to 7 seconds. So Jonathan Aberdeen going back out now and making his way out of the pit lane exit. Takes a little bit of time to get these tyres up to temperature as well. So he's clear of Philip Eng, however, and Lucas Auer and Timo Glock. However, they'll be on him in no time because it's going to be like driving on ice. No tyre warmers allowed in DTM. It's half a lap plus before you really get them up to any sort of proper temperature and grip normally. Certainly that was the case at the Lausitz ring. But it looked like a decent stop for Jonathan Aberdeen and the crew. As into the pits then comes Loic Duval, the race leader. So Robin Freins will pick up the lead for now. Rast in second and Muller in third. But the race leader, the first to come in, and that's maybe not a surprise given, as I said, that he wasn't quite able to get as much life out of the tyres certainly yesterday as his key rivals were.
Go, 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 go.
6.5 seconds, good stop that.
We see some blistering on the rear axle. You will be in front of Wittmann at pit exit, 5 seconds in front.
Philip Luth, Duval's engineer there, just giving the former race leader the lowdown. That's Moses' team, Team Phoenix, with a very good stop there, though, 6.5 seconds. So this is your new race leader. Yet to make his change, of course, change of climatic conditions. Does that mean there are 1 or 2 drops starting to fall? It may well do. As I said, it looks like there was some big clouds hanging over. And yeah, 1 or 2 little drops of rain coming on the camera lens there, you can see as well now. So this gives you a headache because you're probably thinking of coming in to change tyres now, but if it's going to rain, can you hang on if it's going to rain properly and only make 1 stop and put wet tyres on, if that's the case? Or is it just going to be a passing few spots of rain? Well, Muller's coming in either way. So Muller in now, and his battle is going to be to try and get out nearer to Loic Duval. Rast's coming as well, so Rast and Muller both in. Robin Freins on his own.
It will be 19 laps to go. 19 laps to go. We will go until the end. Duval stopped 1 lap earlier. He will be
very much sounds like a one-stop strategy if the rain doesn't come into play for Nico Muller. Race between the crews now, 6.5 seconds for Muller, 9.2 for Rast, and rain starting to fall. They're coming out of the pit lane together, but Muller is ahead.
Highly likely will get a penalty for it. And you are down 1 on DS to Muller.
And Rast's got 1 less DRS usage in the race than Muller, but Muller out ahead. It was tight, but the Rast team will call that into question, I think. And Muller is off luck. So Loic Duval, who's already made his pit stop, making his way through into the left-hand hairpin at Strubben, and just in the background, as the next best pit stopper now, you can see Nico Muller with the next car through. Duval holding effectively the lead of the race, although he's not technically leading yet. It was the front right that was the problem for René Rast. He lost 3 seconds there in the stop, and he still almost got out ahead of Muller to the wheel spin as well, because the pit lane is still pretty wet, certainly near the pit boxes. Muller was forced way out of the way there, forcing Rast way out of the way there, wasn't he? Rast had to take evasive action as Ferdinand Habsburg came into the pits just behind them as well. Robin Freins has come in now as well, I think. So Freins has come into the pits from what was the lead of the race.
DRS and push to pass, you can use every lap. Go, go, go.
Good start, 6.6 seconds for Team
Watch the white line on the exit.
No further action in the pit lane duel. Muller is not going to be penalised for that, so no further action between Muller and Rast. The stewards have already looked at it. Right, Loic Duval, he's charging down the straight. He should get clear, and he's certainly going to have his tyres up to temperature anyway. But through he'll come around the outside, and this effectively for the lead of the race once all the pit stops are done. Loic Duval will now try to make the most of this, knowing that he's got a little bit less tyre life at the end of the race. I mean, coming a couple of laps earlier than Robin Freins, but Freins has come out still ahead of both Muller and Rast. It's pretty close between the 4 of them. 2 can make the tyres work the longest now. Trying to generate some heat into those tyres still is Robin Freins, weaving this way then that. Muller gets closer and closer in the mirrors. Still one or two spots seem to be falling on the camera lens. This is maybe Muller's opportunity. Robin Fries is going to make that a very, very wide Audi. His two teammates as well. And making their way through the left-hand 90-degree turn into this Dugger slot, 130 kilometers an hour, third gear corner, and then really building the speed up now. 2.7 G of lateral force through the next left-hander coming up. Through the kink, here we go, 6th gear, 265 kilometers an hour through there. A sight to behold. Slowing it down then for the final sequence of corners at the chicane, and Robin Fries has done enough to keep Nico Muller behind him for now. Robert Kubica has come into the pits and run as high as 3rd. Mike Rockenfeller still leads the race, hasn't made a pit stop yet. Sheldon van der Linde is 2nd for now. And they're 16.7 seconds behind them. Rockenfeller's certainly fighting for a top 5 finish here. And there's Robert Kubica, the first ever Polish driver in Formula 1 and now the first ever Polish driver in DTM.
Okay, we have 16 laps remaining, 16 laps remaining, come on.
Kubica being wheeled on in the ART Grand Prix run Audi. As we go back on board with Robin Fries now. Running 4th on the road, but effectively in 2nd place because the top 2 have yet to make their pit stops. Fabio Scherer is coming to the pits for a 2nd time. The first was to serve a penalty for contact with Marco Wittmann, who is the only driver that's effectively in the race that's behind him. Jamie Green, 14 laps down on the rest of the field. Having failed to start the race with the car, wouldn't get going off the grid, unfortunately, for the British driver. There is Mike Rockenfeller, who leads the way, but there is effectively, once it all settles down, the real leader of the race, Loic Duval. Robin Fries pushing to stay with him now, knowing that he'll have tyres that are a couple of laps fresher at the end of the race, as Sheldon van der Linde comes in from 2nd place in the race.
Stop light. Remember, brake balance rearwards and then forwards. They're going to come out with Glock.
Yeah, he's going to be back in that fight with the likes of Eng and Glock and Aberdeen, isn't he? Still looking very, very good for Audi. We filled the top 6 places before the pit stops occurred, and there we've got René Rast working hard to try to close the gap back to Muller. On the last lap, he was about 3/10 slower. There's Sheldon van der Linde then about to rejoin. Jamie Green is not involved in the battle with him. He's the next driver through turn 1 because he's 14 laps down on the field. Just using this as some driving time and some gather some data on the tyres more than anything, I would think. Rockenfeller dives for the pits. So Rockenfeller from the lead of the race comes in. He's not going to be involved in the top 4, or he shouldn't be.
For that, mate. So good first stint. You saved the tyres. Pace wasn't actually too bad at all, so we managed to keep you out for 4 more laps longer than Duval on the same pace. So virtually we have not lost anything. We are still fighting with the front runners of Muller and Rast. It's clear behind you, so you can go on the drop.
But exactly, he's not going to be with them when he comes out of the pits, but he might be with them at the end of the race because he's going to have the freshest tyres of all of the front runners in the top 6. Decent stop, but not amazing. 7.6 seconds. Duval goes through. Then Fries, then Muller, and then Rast. There should be a big gap behind, so he'll come back out in 5th place, which is where he was before the pit stop started. Can he do anything with fresh tyres at the end of the race to push up towards maybe a podium finish? It's possible, but it's going to be hard work for Rocky. Rule you out though. Right, the gap between Duval, the race leader, and Fries in 2nd, 1.7 seconds at the last split. But Fries got the gap down a bit by 1/10 and a half through that first sector of the lap. 34.4 for Duval, 34.2 for Fries, 34.3 for Muller, 34.1 for Rast. So through that first sector of the leading quartet, it's this man that was a tiny bit quicker than the others. René Rast trying to get himself involved in this fight for, well, at least a podium position, and maybe a race victory. And he's had 2 wins so far this season, 1 each around the sprint and Grand Prix versions of the 1003. deficit to try to close to Nico Muller, and at the moment he's going to lose another 3 points to him. As Muller in third place, he's on for 15 points, and Raston fourth. He's on for 12 championship points as it stands. Robin Frijns outscoring both of them. Currently in second place, 18 points. If it stays like this, he's only 3 points behind René Rast in the championship table, and if he finishes second and Rast stays fourth, Robin Frijns is going to move up into second place in the championship. Flashing his headlights is Lucas Auer. Third in this train is Habsburg in the Audi, trying to fend off Philip Eng, and Lucas Auer just behind as well, looking very racy. So these cars battling over 7th spot now. Habsburg having had a very good start to the race, but slipping back down the order, and also wide there through the left-hand hairpin at Strubben. Got to get a good exit here, on the gas for a long time now, and Philip Eng is right behind him. He might have pushed past to give himself another 60 horsepower, and he might be able to use DRS. He will be able to use DRS. Can he get through though? Habsburg's also got that use and uses it to defend his position. So Habsburg stays 7th, Eng in 8th. And then Lucas Auer breathing down there next in 9th. Harrison Newey is close to the tail of that group as well in 10th place. And he's about 1.2 seconds clear of Timo Glock, who's first of the drivers outside of the top 10 and therefore out of the points at the moment. It's just over 17.5 minutes to go in the race. So, discussions on the pit wall, communications to the drivers. Thomas Biermeier, team out the sports line. What can he do to get his drivers up into a position to challenge Loic Duval for the lead of the race? Frijns and Muller can see him, but they're not quite close enough to really push him yet. But they know that Duval came in sooner, and they know that Duval, thus far this weekend, although he could have changed the setup, he could have figured it out, but thus far he hasn't quite been able to keep the tyre life going as long as they have. So if it follows the same trend, he's going to be having to defend quite a lot in the closing laps of this race from Frijns and Muller, and potentially Rast as well. The last lap for Duval was a 1:27.9. Frijns did a 1:27.3, half a second quicker. 1:26.8 for Muller, half a second quicker than him. And actually a second, more or less a second quicker than the race leader. And 1:27.5 for Rast. He was quicker than the leader as well, but not as quick as Muller ahead of him. So it's all starting to concertina up now between the top 4 in this DTM race. The first of the weekend here at Assen. Robin Frijns you ride with now, and I in front, and I to the mirrors as well. That's the rear-facing camera looking back at Nico Muller as he exits the final corner. The 51 Audi in third place. Over the line, a 1:27.6 for Duval, a 1:27.4 for Frijns, has taken another 2/10 out of the race leader. 10 slower than Frijns, but also quicker than Duval was Muller, and quicker than all of them was René Rast on that lap, 1:27.4. So the gap from first to fourth is now down to 4.4 seconds. Jamie Green's day goes from bad to worse. He's now under investigation for forcing another car off the track. But that's just under investigation. Doesn't mean he's going to get any penalty applied. He'll get a warning, a black and white flag, forcing another car off the track for Jamie Green. Right, Duval coming under more and more scrutiny now from Robin Frijns, who is searching for his first DTM race victory. He's been so close this year, on so many occasions. But wouldn't it be the fairy tale story if his first win could come in his home country, and the first time that any spectators have been allowed at an event this year to see it happen right in front of their very eyes? You can imagine there being a very big roar from the grandstands if he's able to find his way into the lead of the race, but got quite some driver ahead of him to try and overtake in Loic Duval. All of his experience in DTM over the last few years, but all of his experience as a racing driver in sports prototypes and in the World Endurance Championship prior to that. So Loic Duval pushing on here because he too is in the position of trying to get his first win in the DTM. Could we have a new race winner here? If it's either of those, yes is the answer. If it's Nico Muller in third or René Rast in fourth, no, they'll just add to their growing tally. Especially René Rast. Just championship for 3 years, or in the field that's running at the front at least. Not forgetting Jamie Green, he's still out there on the circuit, being a long, long way down the order. Marco Wittmann 2. Starting to edge up at least to catch somebody. He's 4 seconds behind Fabio Scherer now, but if he gets Fabio, he's got another big chunk of time, 18 seconds to find to catch the next group of drivers. So frustrating race this for Marco Wittmann. Frustrating weekend so far for him. Swig of water for Thomas Biermeier. In the middle of the picture there, that's the motor for Team Phoenix, who run the race leader, Loic Duval. And it's all Team Phoenix, their man in front by a second, just over a second now. Last laps, 127.9s for both of them, but a 127.7s for the two that are chasing them down, Muller and Rast. Muller's going to get there first. They start battling. Rast is going to get involved in this as well. Muller is the one to watch here. He's the one, as I said, on the long run pace in free practice, particularly free practice 1 yesterday. He was the one of the 4 that was able to keep the tyre life going for a little bit longer than the others. That's so much drop off in his race times. Smooth Swiss might make that pay to his advantage, but of course time is starting to run out. He's still 12 minutes 40 seconds plus a lap left on the clock, and he's only 1.7 seconds behind the race leader. It's all very possible. What about Rocky's times? He was quicker than this lot by a mile, 126.597. Top 3 are lapping in the 128s. He's in the 126s here. He's got a big gap to try and close. He's 10.1 seconds behind René Rast currently, but Mike Rockenfeller might just come into the equation as well in the remaining minutes of the race. Can't afford any mistakes though. He's got to be pitch perfect all the way through the remainder of this race. Jonathan Aberdeen still doing very well indeed for BMW in 6th place. He's pulled a few seconds clear of Ferdinand Habsburg in 7th. Harrison Newey in 8th, Philipp Eng in 9th, Lucas Auer, the last of the point scorers, in 10th place, but not far back. Sheldon van der Linden trying to get up into the top 10. Something he managed from a stalled grid position last time out at the Lausitz Ring. Rocky pushing on hard now. Gains another couple of tenths through that first sector of the lap. Gains nearly a second through the second sector. Rockenfeller at this stage flying after them, but he's got to be careful not to push the tyres too much, as they'll really drop off a cliff in the closing stages. He's having to push hard as he possibly can now. There's no more target times to be met. It's all about going flat out. 0.952 seconds. So for the first time, the gap from first to second is less than 1 second. And there you can see it for yourself. And René Rast has really eaten into the advantage of Nico Muller as well. 127.7 for René Rast on the previous lap, was 3/4 of a second quicker than Muller. And bearing in mind Muller is about a tenth quicker than the top 2. You can see it's very shortly going to be completely bunched up this. So he's almost got them, René Rast, but has he got enough time to find a way past 3 drivers to pick up a race victory? Meanwhile, Mike Rockenfeller pushing on. Gap from him to Rast in 4th is down to 8.7 seconds. He needs them to start fighting each other and holding each other up a little bit, I think. That would really help him out. They can slow each other down by half a second a lap, and he keeps on pushing up like he is. And Rockenfeller, half a chance of being with them. You can see them getting bigger and bigger dots in the distance, but they are still quite a long way ahead of him. Here they come, over the line, top 4 go. Loic Duval, 128.7, 128.6 for Freins, 128.5 for Muller, 128.4 for Rast. So he gained again on that lap, Rast, but not by as much as he did on the previous one. And a 127.4, a second quicker than Rast was Rockenfeller. Gap's down to 7.8 seconds from 4th to 5th. And he was 1.3 seconds quicker than the race leader as well, while Rockenfeller came in 4 laps later. The last of the front runners to come and make his pit stop. He's got a nice clear track ahead, that's for sure. DRS deployed. Rear wing flaps open up to give them a little bit more straight line speed. They'll have to be within a certain distance of the car in front to deploy that now. Right, looking a bit frustrated here. It's Thomas Biermeier. But why? Well, possibly because he could do that, his 2 drivers fighting each other, make sure at least one of them gets the race victory here. Freins and Muller both for Abt Sportsline. Duval leading the Team Phoenix. Maybe it's something to do with that, although not exactly nose to tail at the moment. Time gain through that sector for Robin Fines, another 10th closer to Loic Duval. The gap down to 0.7 of a second as they come to the end of the lap now. Duval's just got to keep doing what he's doing here. Crowd watching on. It's going to be a fascinating final 10 minutes or so of the race. 8.5 minutes to go, plus 1 lap. And there you can see the gap from first to second is right down, suddenly to less than 0.4 of a second. Within striking distance now is Robin Fines. He can't afford to get held up because he knows there are some quicker cars coming behind as well, not least Mike Rockenfeller. Bit of a lock up there for Loic Duval, struggling with the tyres, goes out wide, coming out of the hairpin. Surely he's going to lose the lead of the race here because with much better traction, much better acceleration. Here comes Robin Fines around the outside into the braking zone. New race leader, Robin Fines in his home country, leads the race here with just 8 minutes to go. Duval, the long-time race leader, down to second. Might be a fight for him just to stay on the podium now, because his tyres look like they're really beginning to struggle. He was struggling 6/10 slower than Fines on that previous lap, where he had been keeping the gap down to about a 10th of a second per lap. Suddenly, the tyres have really fallen off for him, and he's going to have to be pretty strong in his defence from Nico Muller anytime soon, because as you can see from that low-slung splitter camera, Muller is almost with the Frenchman now. The Dutch driver leads, Frenchman second, the Swiss third. The German driver René Rast just fallen away from them a little bit now in 4th place on that previous lap. Having been the quicker of the four for quite a few laps. He lost time on that one by about 0.3 of a second. Great rear-facing camera there. Looking back at Loic Duval from Robin Fines, the race leader, goes past the grandstands, not full, but including spectators now. Those that were allowed to come in. Nico Muller knows that now is the time to pounce. Doesn't want Robin Fines to get too far up the road. Doesn't want to get delayed and held up too much by Loic Duval. Struggling for traction once again, coming out of the Strummen hairpin. Coming out onto this long back straight now. I don't think Muller's close enough, is he? To attack on the way into turn 6. Duval's sort of reacted pretty well here, having lost the lead of the race. Taking a bit of a tow, but he's still within touching distance of the new race leader, Robin Fines. This was the moment that cost him, though, just that one lock-up on the front left through Strummen, cost him acceleration onto the back straight, and from there, really, he was a sitting target. Nothing he could do to prevent Robin Fines driving around the outside of him as he got to the braking zone for turn 6. Back live then, half a second the gap between the top two, riding with Nico Muller in 3rd place. Championship leader, still keeping René Rast behind him. But if it stays like this, his closest rival in the championship table is going to be Robin Fines, who's moved up to about 2nd place in the standings. As it stands, he's going to score 25 points, and Nico's going to score 10 less. Still have a healthy advantage, whatever happens in this race. Muller is going to be the championship leader going into tomorrow. 10 points is a lot to lose in one race, and he knows full well that Robin Fines is a driver that's not going to go away this season. He's been quick every single weekend. The win probably long overdue. He's not done it yet though, still going to have to work hard for this. Duval doing a good job, he's keeping Muller behind. That'll be much to the delight of Robin Fines. Flying after the ball still, Mike Rockenfeller. He's only 3.3 seconds down on René Rast in 4th place now. Last lap was 1.2 seconds quicker than Rast. If Rockenfeller can dispatch with René Rast quickly, he might just have time to get onto this battle for the final spot on the podium. Get his first podium of the year. It might just be out of reach, but it's possible. Only just, though, I'd say. Less than 5 minutes left on the clock, plus 1 lap. His luminous yellow and blue Team Phoenix Audi getting a bit closer in the mirrors now to René Rast, who's definitely fallen away from this lead group over the last 2 or 3 laps. So podium now looking off the cards for the reigning champion. Second time on the bounce, the podium. It'll be a 6th place finish in race 2. At the Lausitz ring. Right, Muller closer than he's ever been coming through the chicane at the end of the lap to Loic Duval, but Duval's got decent traction, and there you go, you can see Rockenfeller is almost onto the rear wing. Another lap and he'll be there, I reckon. But yes, I think it's going to be just a little bit too much for him to try and catch the top three. That's if he can get past René Rast. That's not going to be easy. Still very tight between the top three. Loic Duval has not let the race leader Robin Freins get away. There's not much between them at all. 129.5 for Freins. As you go on board with Muller, and 129.4 for Duval, and 129.2 for Muller. So he had a good lap last time around, did Nico. But he's pushing on. Loic Duval in the background. René Rast about to come under attack from Mike Rockenfeller. No change between the top three, but it's getting oh so close now with 3.5 minutes to go. Is Robin Freins going to get his first ever DTM win? Is Loic Duval going to get his maiden victory? Or is it going to be the championship leader in third place at the moment? Gets past the pair of them. Here we go. Mike Rockenfeller has to go on the attack straight away. He knows he's quicker and he gets through without too many dramas. To fourth place now for Mike Rockenfeller. René Rast down to fifth position, losing more points to his key rivals in the championship here. 1/3 of the way through the season coming into this race. This weekend we'll be fast approaching the halfway mark. René Rast, one of his biggest strengths last year was how good he was in qualifying. It hasn't quite been able to pick up as many poles and top three positions and points as he did in qualifying last year so far in 2020. He's just struggled a little bit here at Assen, as he did in fairness last year in the dry conditions, to keep the tyres alive on his car. Really falling away from them now. There's no point coming in and changing tyres now. He's just going to have to live with it. Should be able to hang on to fifth place. It's a long way clear of Jonathan Aberdeen in sixth. He's having a really good run here. He's following from that seventh place finish last time out. Fourth place finish here at Assen last year, Jonathan Aberdeen. It's still his best result in DTM so far, so he likes the track. Robin Freins still keeping Loic Duval behind him. Just 2 minutes to go in the race, plus 1 lap. Tense times on the pit wall. Thomas Biermeier. Robin Freins, his man, leads the race, and his other driver, Nico Muller, is in third. Each can get past Loic Duval. This is a really strong drive from Loic. Thought he might have just sort of faded away once Robin got past him, but anything but driven very well. And what about this man? Trying his best to catch them up. Doing a good job of keeping the pressure up from fourth place is Mike Rockenfeller. He's 3.5 seconds behind Muller. A warning for Robert Kubica for forcing another car off the track. Robert's currently running in 12th place, just outside the points. And that would be his best finish so far in DTM. So it's been another step forward for the Polish driver. Not yet in the points, but getting close to them. Right, it's going to be 2 laps to go, including the one they've just started. Robin Freins has got 2 laps. He's got 9 kilometres to try and hang on for this race victory now. Duval is going back on the attack. He's pulled away from Muller on that previous lap. Certainly through the first sector, and he's back onto the tail as they're going to the strip and hairpin now of the race leader, but Muller comes back at them as well. Accelerating on his old tyres now, coming out onto the 560-metre long straight. DRS deployed. You're looking back on the race leader, Robin Freins, as Loic Duval tries to give him a taste of his own medicine, but he was just that little bit too far back. He thought about it. He needed to be half a length closer to really go for the move. But he knows what he's got to do on the final lap of the race now. He's got to commit. If he goes for it, he cannot dither, because if he does, Muller's going to be in there to steal his own second place away from him. Fascinating end to the race, this. Ernst Moser and Team Phoenix willing their driver on. Thomas Biermeier and AB Sportslight doing exactly the same thing for their 2 drivers that are involved in this podium fight, this fight for the victory. Robin Freins had a good exit there from that turn, and the second sector was good. The third sector is going to be even better, I think. Coming up towards the left-hander on Ramhock. There is Rockenfeller, who could do with another couple of laps in this race, the way he's flying after them. I think he's just going to run out of time. It's going to be a good effort, though, from Rocky. We're about to go on to the final lap of the race, because the clock has ticked down to 0, and the last lap board is held aloft. Robin Freins with a lap to go now, still with Loic Duval behind him. It's going to be onto that back straight, where he's probably going to feel the most pressure. Loic needs to get closer to him and needs to get a better exit. Coming up to this left-hander, this is the crucial one. This is what cost Loic the lead of the race, really, when he locked up 10 or 15 minutes ago. He's close, so too is Muller. Muller looks quicker on the brakes than both of them into there. But on board with Robin Freins, he just edges away under acceleration. This is where Duval will now start to come. It's now or never pressure for Loic Duval. The inside line is covered. He's not close enough. He keeps the pressure up. He has to keep an eye on the mirrors as well, because you've got Nico Muller chomping at the bit to get through to second place as well. He's got championship points to think of, but he knows his biggest rival in the championship is 2 cars ahead. But time is running out. This is looking very good now for Robin Freins. The team making their way to the pit wall to cheer their man over the line if they can. I'm sure that's going to be the case, and I'm sure there's going to be a roar from the crowd and from the team if Robin can hang on to this. Been a fine effort though from Loic Duval. He really has driven well and kept the car going, kept his hopes alive. But coming through now towards the final chicane for the final time, Robin Freins in his home country goes right, goes left, accelerates, sees the checkered flag, and Robin Freins is a DTM race winner.
Yes, yes, yes! Finally, man. Finally home, man. Save fuel, take tire pickup. Awesome job, buddy. Awesome, proud of you. Yes.
Miguel Petit, awesome job, but don't forget to do
So,
this.
do you think you deserve it
that.
now? Question.
If I don't deserve that one, I'm the Pope.
You did deserve it, Robin.
Robin, awesome drive, awesome drive. Really good, congratulations.
Oh man, so happy. Thank you all.
That's one happy team boss as well, as it took a Spearmire. Lived and breathed every moment of that race from the pit wall, didn't he? But
you bloody legend, you little ripper, you. Well done.
Welcome back, Mark.
Again, we repeat.
Well, that was quite the finish. Huge pressure on Robin Freins at the end of that race. And Loic Duval did a superb job, because I thought his tyres had gone. I thought he was going to fade away and maybe even struggle to get the podium, but he dug deep, kept it going. And actually, the last couple of laps of the race, he was challenging to try and get the lead back. Just couldn't quite get close enough on the way into turn 6. He had 2 goes at it, but it would have been a pretty late lunge, and I think probably would have ended in tears. So Loic Duval has to settle for second place, but it's still a terrific result for him, equaling his best result, which also came in Holland a couple of years ago at Zandvoort with the second place finish. There's the results then. Robin Freins takes the victory for Audi Sport Team AB Sportsline. Loic Duval and Nico Muller would join him on the podium. Mike Rockenfeller very close to them in the end, but 4th place, equaling his best of the season so far. René Rast 5th. Jonathan Aberdeen with a great run through to 6th place. 7th place, Ferdinand Habsburg. 8th place, Sheldon van der Linde. He came good in the second half of the race as well. Timo Glock was 9th. Robert Kubica has scored his first DTM championship point in 10th place, because Lucas Auer and Harrison Newey both faded in the closing lap. So Robert Kubica is a point scorer now. He's got a single point for 10th place in the DTM. And he got ahead of Auer and Newey at the end of the race. 13th to Fabio Scherer, 14th Felipe Engus looked good all weekend long, but hasn't quite come to him in the race, unfortunately. Strong start, but fading to 14th with Marco Wittmann, who got involved in that spin in 15th. There's the points then, 149, 30 points clear of the driver that's now second in the standings, Robin Freins. Muller leads, Freins second, Rast down to third on 107 points in the drivers' standings after their first race of the weekend here at Assen. And as you can see, the cars lined up in front of the temporary podium that we have in these COVID times down in the pit lane. So the podium rostrum steps, socially distanced, are placed down in the holding area for the top 3 cars in the pit lane. Have to get their own trophies and own champagne, no official presentations as such. Something that we're starting to become accustomed to now this 4th weekend of the 2020 season. So Robin Freins.
Engine. Exhaust temp is still high.
At the 45th attempt, Robin Freins becomes a DTM race winner. And it was by a pretty narrow margin. 0.5 seconds clear of Loic Duval. Nico Muller, 3rd. Continuing to lead the championship, but his advantage has come down by 7 points now after Robin Freins moves into second place in the standings. Good drive from, very good drive from Mike Rockenfeller, again in 4th place. René Rast will be disappointed with 5th, but he has a habit of working these things out and coming back strong on a Sunday whenever he has a slightly off Saturday, because don't rule him out yet of some silverware here at Assen. and an excellent job by Jonathan Aberdeen to get the first BMW position in 6th place. But Audi's absolutely dominant in a race which was run in dry conditions in the end, but started with lots of question marks over whether they would go for wet tyres. The track dried very quickly, and in the end, even though there are damp patches, as we see a replay of the 3 cars crossing the line within 0.9 seconds of each other, even though there were 1 or 2 damp patches around, which are now almost completely gone. There's never any question about starting the race.
Yes! Finally home! Save fuel, take tire pickup. Awesome job, buddy. Awesome, proud of you.
That was the same word, almost the same expression that Robin Freins used at the first weekend of the season at Spa when he got his first pole position. Finally, man, done it. As I say, he's accustomed to running at the front and winning races in whatever he drives, Robin Freins, whether it's a Formula E car, a Formula Renault, a GT, a sports car, a DTM touring car. He's up there, quite the driver. And, well, dream come true to win in your home country, your first DTM race, and with people to see it live as well here at the circuit. Many of them, of course, will be supporting him, and they've been treated to a very good race there and a very tight finish at the end of the 7th round of this 18-round DTM Championship. So face masks on. Nico Muller prepared to go on the podium once again this season. There's only 1 race so far this year. He hasn't been on the podium. It's his first 3rd of the year. He's had 3 wins, 2 seconds, a 5th. He won't be entirely satisfied with that, but couldn't have been much closer, could he? So it is going to be the championship leader that will be called up to the podium first. Nico Muller retains the championship lead, looking for his first DTM title. This is the trophy. 3rd place, looks happy enough, but he'd have liked to have won that one, that is for sure. And Loic Duval equals his best results in the DTM. His best results of the year with a 2nd place finish. Great drive by Loic Duval. No doubting who's going to make the most noise here, though. Up onto the top step of the podium for the first time in the DTM, Robin Freins. Congratulations as well to the winning team, AB Sportsline, who lead the team standings. And for the first time this year, a race winner hears real applause. We'll now have the national anthem. DTM event for 16 years. Christian Albers, the last Dutch driver winning DTM back in 2004. My memory serves. So huge, proud moment for Robin Freins here at Assen in the Netherlands. Pictures now for our top 3, our winning team as well. They've done a superb job this year. They can extend their lead over Audi Sport team Rosberg, our AB Sportsline at the top of the team standings. And another very, very good day for Audi. Oh, just about pinned the flag down in time. Time for the champagne. Nico Muller is first to that race, that's for sure. Pretty stylish, isn't it, the way he bangs it open, bangs it down and pops the cork. Then again, he's had a lot of practice, as I say, this year. Muller back on the podium after a whole 1 race away from it. And it's that consistency that has given him the championship lead. But by a reduced margin, 30 points clear of Robin Freins, who is looking like a real contender with each and every race that passes in the 2020 DTM. Here then, some super slow-mos before we hear from some of the drivers. In reverse order, your top three: Nico Muller, third place in this one, and that is his 6th podium in 7 races for 2020. Loic Duval comes home with his 2nd podium finish of the year to follow on from the 3rd spot he got in race 1 at Spa, equaling his best result and getting oh so close to his first DTM victory. That honour though went, as we know, to the Audi Sport Team App Sportsline driver, the Dutchman Robin Freins, taking a well-deserved victory. It's also his 12th podium in the DTM. Well, it was a terrific race and it was a super close finish. We can hear now from the driver that just missed out on the win with Verena.
This guy was pushing so hard, Loic Duval starting from pole, ending in P2, but you were giving it all your best. How does the 2nd place feel?
I mean, I think that the race itself, the pace was quite good, I have to say. I mean, for sure, it was some tire drag. Difficult to manage. I struggled with the rear tire in the first stint. I struggled with the front tires in the 2nd stint, so the other way around. But yeah, I think today I got killed by the DRS and push to pass, basically. That allowed them to catch me. Then they overtook at the end. I mean, Robin overtook at the end when I had all tires, 2 laps older than him. And I was already struggling a little bit. And afterwards, I was a bit quicker using the DRS and push to pass, but I didn't get the opportunity to pass. So it's a shame to miss the victory, but at the end, it's overall a good result for us, Audi, for Phoenix, and for myself.
Absolutely, and also we have another race tomorrow, so maybe there's some learnings for tomorrow. I mean, you know you have the pace, right?
Yeah, for sure, the pace is there. That's the positive thing about. Then you are in DTM, you never know from one day to another what can happen. But we're going to try to keep the momentum and to do even better tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much, Loic. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, not just, as Loic says, a good result for him, but a very good result for Team Phoenix with Loic in 2nd place and Mike Rockenfeller coming home in 4th. That's their best points haul so far. 30 points they picked up from that race, the team that's 4th in the championship. Right, here's a replay of the key moment in the race as Robin Freins got ahead of Loic Duval to get the race lead, and he turned that, as we know, into a race victory. Speaking now with Verena.
What did we hear through the radio? It said, awesome job. And Robin, you really did an awesome job. Finally, you got your win, and also in your home country in front of fans. So how happy are you right now?
Really, really happy. I hope it always coming earlier, the first victory, but if my first victory comes here in Assen, I think it's the best plan. So it was a very stressful race. From the start to finish with damp conditions at the beginning, and then in the end, Loic being a bit quicker than me because I didn't have any front left tire. So yeah, it was stressful till the end.
It was stressful, and I think it was 7 minutes before the end that you overtook and finally took the lead. But also with finally having fans here also, and you being in the Netherlands, you coming from here. How proud are you about this first win?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling that finally the first race of the season we have fans, and you feel that the atmosphere is completely different, obviously, than the first 3 races. So, as I said, it couldn't be in a better place to celebrate my first victory than here.
You did an awesome job. Thank you so much, Robin. Back to the commentator.
Yeah, if you thought it was stressful, Robin, you should see your team boss on the pit wall because Thomas BMI was, I would say, enduring fairly high levels of stress during the course of that race for one reason or another. Nice stress to have, though, isn't it? Nice problem to have if you're fighting at the front and going for the victory. His teammate was up there on the podium again, Nico Muller. More good points scored, but he knows he's probably going to have to start getting back to winning ways sooner rather than later, with Robin Freins now as a race winner, and Erast, of course, we know, a multiple race winner, and it might be that 2nd and 3rd place finishes for the rest of the season need to be bolstered with a few more race wins. He won the first 3 on the trot. He hasn't won since then, Nico Muller. He is, though, still at the head of the pack, still leading the championship. Some slow-mos of him on the track. Still looking happy enough, you would say, with 3rd place. It's not a bad result at all, but certainly with an eye looking over his shoulder now at the driver we heard from, Robin Freins, with that victory. So they've had their photographs and media duties sort of complete. There's still lots more for them to do with press conferences and television and journalist interviews to come for a couple of hours yet. Of course, they've got to look through all the data as they look forward to race 2 tomorrow. So a very interesting, intriguing race, a close finish for the first race of the weekend here at Assen. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're going to join us again for qualifying and race 2 tomorrow. But we can hear from our final podium finisher now, down with Verena Vries.
So now here I've got Nico Müller, who did a fantastic job with the P3. But before we talk about the race, obviously we want to congratulate you. Your father, you just had or your wife just had a baby. So congratulations. How does that feel, being away?
Very, very good. Obviously, you know, that's hard to top, I think, in life. And I've underestimated the feeling, to be honest. Super grateful to have a little family at home, which is healthy and in great spirits and supporting me in what I do. So. No, very, very happy, and hopefully we can make them proud today a little bit and even more tomorrow.
I know you were getting used to the wins, but however, I mean, a P3 is fantastic, and you were fighting really hard, you were pushing so hard, and also you're still leading by 30 points. So, I mean, in regards to the championship, it's going very well for you.
Yeah, I mean, still a long way to go, so we don't really think about the long term yet. I think we have to maximize every day. And I'm happy with the performance. You know, we're always there. The car is good. The team is doing a great job, and a very good pit stop today gave us a position which was key. And yeah, only the first lap was scrappy. You know, I was on the left-hand side going into turn 1, got squeezed and lost 3 places, and then you're kind of having to chase up again. And yeah, it was a bit annoying there, let's say. But we still kind of nearly maximized what we could do. But you know, when you're in those DRS trains, it's very difficult to make up positions on track, and we need to make sure, you know, we gain those positions in a different way, or by strategy, or starting already at the front. So that's what we'll work on for tomorrow.
Exactly, and tomorrow we have another race coming up, so I guess there's a lot of data you collected today, a lot of learning, so hopefully tomorrow maybe you can do better than a P3.
Thank you, yeah, we'll do our best.
And one more thing, we have the first time this season, we have fans here in Assen. Quite frankly, how does that feel? I mean, it's completely different, it's fantastic atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I mean, in that respect, also happy that they got to see a Dutch winner. I think their day couldn't be much better, and I'm super happy for Robin as well. You know, to win a home race is probably unbelievable. I've not experienced it yet, so I think he couldn't choose a much better place for his first DTM win. I'm very happy for him, very happy for the team, and very happy for our fans. And I hope we deliver a good show for them again tomorrow. And hopefully, you know, until the end of the season, we'll have more of those venues with even more filled tribunes and a great spectacle.
And let me guess, you wouldn't mind if they see a Swiss winner tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
Nico Müller, thank you so much. And that was it from Assen here, the first race today. And as Nico just said, of course, we have another race coming up tomorrow. I think in regards to the weather conditions, it's supposed to be very wet and a lot colder. So again, that's going to be very interesting to see how different conditions show up in the race. So definitely we had a lot of fun here today in Assen. I hope you did as well. And we're all looking forward to tomorrow. So you don't want to miss the second race coming up in Assen tomorrow. And now here are the highlights. Do enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
helmet, save fuel, take tire pickup. Awesome job, buddy.